Sweet, we're live or not live, I guess.
Well, we will be.
Sure. Today we wanted to talk about why we don't change.
Why is it so difficult to change? And what's the point? Why do we get stuck where we're at and we just don't feel comfortable enough to move forward?
I know that in the movie Men in Black, it was stated that people like the curtain. They like to be where they're at.
Hmm.
They don't necessarily know that there is a possibility for change.
We just get comfortable with complacency and what we're familiar with. And when we're stuck feeling comfortable, it's just the idea of getting out of that state of familiarity is more uncomfortable than changing is. And there has to be a demolition before there's a rebuild. And the demolition process is that messy part that is really uncomfortable. And I think while we were going through our struggle for so long, for instance, you didn't want to bring it up because you didn't want to hurt me.
Correct.
And you knew that conversation was going to be a painful one.
There was also the part of me that didn't want to stop. I was enjoying what I was doing, and that sucked.
It did suck. And it pissed me off.
So, another thing is we do tell each other, or not each other, but ourselves, certain lies, which keep us there as well.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And even on top of that, the body resists change. That's why it feels uncomfortable. That's why it feels painful, because the body's like, no!
Mhm. Well, we realized when we started working with the coach that we had, um, and I don't know why it took me so long to get this because I'd been studying mindset for years and years, and I learned so much about how the mind works and how um, our behavior, responds to the mind, and what we think about, we create all that stuff, right? But what didn't really sink in until later is that our mindset gets stored into the body. The very tissues, cells, organs, glands, everything hold on to memory and store the program and the pattern that you're running. And so, even though you can try shifting your mind, the behavior won't necessarily change or reflect the change that your mind is now thinking because you're running a literal hardware program and you have to change that. You have to, sure, getting into the mind can sometimes change that if you do it enough and with
It's
enough
not
repetition.
enough because the brain knows that what you're doing is wrong. The brain knows that it
Hmm.
really is doing damage to the relationship. It knows it's harming yourself, but the body got used to it.
Well, and it's not, I mean, not just that, but literally the addictions and the allergies that we experience. We're allergic to things that we want to have happen that aren't happening, and we're addicted to the things that are not serving us that we're having happen. And the reason that we can't get over that is because it's literally encoded into our literal tissues, DNA, and cells. We have to know how to neutralize that and get that out.
Exactly.
Uh, Bess, Bessel Vanderkirk, his name is so difficult to say. He wrote the book called The Body Keeps the Score. And that's the thing that really kind of made it all click when I realized, oh my gosh, wait a second here. I had learned all of these things, like for instance, when you get donors of a heart transplant, donors, the recipient of a heart transplant, when they receive it from the previous donor, a lot of times they will end up realizing that they have the same new tastes in lifestyle or in what's the word, affinities for like a type of food or a type of music or a type of thing that they didn't used to like before once they've got the heart transplant. And that often happens because they actually are taking on a lot of those sensations, the memories, the pushes, the pulls, the flavors of the previous owner of that organ that was they got the transplant for. That's a really fascinating experience that happens, and that's what kind of got some people to realize that this is real. Our literal cells and tissues and organs hold on to that memory of the addiction and the thing that we're used to, the program that we're running. Our bodies are a computer, and we just have to change and rewire that program. And because of that, we realized that that's what we needed to do with the addiction, with trauma, with everything that we're going through. We have to change that. And that's why blockers and filters and other things that we try to use to change the one thing to another thing, that's not going to work forever. It's not going to hold the power of your ability to change.
Absolutely. You're basically trading one type of slavery for another.
I've heard bondage swapping. I've heard it called that.
You're already addicted to the porn or the substance, the alcohol, the smoking, the whatever it is that you're addicted to, and you're trading that for something else, whether that's somebody like putting a blocker or a filter. There are ways around that
Hmm.
for sure, but you're now reliant on it being responsible for your porn watching instead of yourself.
So you're still not fully an agent. You're still not capable of making the choice because we're still running that program of the addiction and the need for something. The urge is still there. And what we're trying to do is neutralize the urge. And I'm telling you that the program that we've created has the ability to neutralize the urge forever. And that's something that most people don't know about. I mean, you can go to 12 steps and have accountability partners. You can experience
Which accountability partners don't always work either
mhm,
because, again, you're doing that swap from like watching the porn
mhm.
to being reliant on this accountability partner, or you you slip up and oh, now I have to tell him now.
And I mean, you can go and get to the root cause and find out what's going on, which is something that we will do in our program. We help people find out what is the root cause, what's the real thing that is actually causing the addiction to begin with. But then we have a tool to be able to help you actually neutralize that, so that when that trigger comes up again, the urge doesn't come up. That's something that you can't find in other programs. And this is something that, because of the coaching and the programs that we had gone through, we learned how to be able to do for ourselves. So this is something that we are offering to you. Again, there is going to be some demolition before the rebuild. And yes, you're going to have to learn to face that. And that is the first step. We have to learn to face ourselves. And we're going to be sending out our free facelift guide. FACE is an acronym for facing your fears, your resentments, your anger and your resentments, your convictions and your deep-setted beliefs, and the expectations that we have. And not all of those are good expectations. Not all of those are good convictions. Sometimes we need to rewire what we're thinking and what we're fearing and believing. And um, when we face what's really going on deeply inside of us, and we really face the identity that we've created versus the identity of who it is that we really want to be, and the divine child of God who we know we are capable of being, and God knows who we are. When we face that and we know how to neutralize the patterns and programs that have once been a part of our body and our physical and our mental makeup, then we can take the skills that we could have been learning and use that to actually get us out of bondage and change. And then, honestly, the filters, you don't need it. You don't need to worry and stress about whether or not your husband's going to be up looking at porn. And that's the thing. I don't fear that anymore. For a long time I did, because I didn't, what the heck is he doing? It's like late at night, and we couldn't follow the typical one of these programs because Bob is a programmer, okay? It wouldn't work because, he's a programmer and he worked a graveyard. So for me to be in my space where I'm not terrified out of my mind that he's going to be up at night looking at something, I needed to be able to have that sense of trust and that sense back that I could know that he would be okay and be safe because he's done the work. The urges are now gone.
Yes.
And that is the difference between our program and other programs out there that just put a band-aid or teach a filter or give you tools, or here's how we can, go talk to an accountability partner or your therapist and let's find out what happened. Sure, we're going to have parts of those steps in this, but we're going to neutralize it and zap it where it is and nip it in the bud, get it going.
And coming back to that initial question, why we don't change, it's scary. It's skeletons, it's ghosts, it's dark. And we don't want to face that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's scary.
So, uh, the movie Ghostbusters, loved it as a kid. But there was one scene that my siblings would not let me watch. And that was near the beginning with the librarian.
Mm.
And so there's the ghost, right? That is all librarian like and reading a book and everything, all sweet and innocent. And there's that moment where they had me close my eyes when the ghost comes in full attack mode against the people. And that instilled a fear in me that the movie was scary. The rest of the movie was fine. You have the demon dog coming out of the fridge, they let me watch.
Yes.
They have the floating chick and, like, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Slimer and all of that.
But I think the anticipation of the fear is what really gets you. But then once you
So,
actually face it, you realize, wait, this isn't as scary as I thought it was.
but even when I watched it on my own without anyone there, I would still close my eyes during that part. And then there was one day that I decided to actually watch it, and I'm like, this is it? Like, I think the demon dog's worse than this. And anyway. Point being, when you actually own up and face the problem, all of the fears, all of the angers, the convictions, and the expectations, it is very liberating.
Yeah. And I know that you can wait to that moment where you need to change so bad, then and the discomfort gets so completely all encompassing and penetrating that you can't possibly wait another second it's like we got to change now because it's just do or die, right? But why wait till you're to that point? Inspirational dissatisfaction is the term that my uncle had coined a long time ago. Don't wait until it hurts bad enough. Start when you know that you need to change and there's a problem, that things need to get better, and do this with hope, because you don't have to suffer and there's no point in delaying. And even though you might feel like, I've got this kind of under control, we're still dealing with that underlying pain and the underlying urge and the underlying, what if, and as a woman who's been dealing with, that betrayal trauma for so long, I didn't want to face it because it was painful, and I didn't want to have to go through, that thing again of facing and asking, did he do this or whatever. But when we finally hit it head on and had those deep, heartfelt conversations, it was painful, but we finally got through it and we were able to dig out the junk and clear it out and clean it out of us. And we were completely, fully transparent, fully honest with one another, and, fully honest with the coaches that we had talked to, who gave us that,
Oh, yeah.
those tips on what we needed to do. Um, we really had a plan for what it was that we were going to do to get out of this. And we had the tools because we had been taught them. And before we had learned the tools, we didn't know what to do. And that's why, we'd gone for like over a decade and a half not knowing what to do. But once we got those tools,
Exactly.
we were able to get this taken care of.
And one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves is we can do this on our own, and we can't.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And yes, you can pray,
And
you
Heather and I did it together.
We did. But, we believe in God. We know he's real, and we had been praying. We had been reading scriptures. But sometimes the Lord sends you a boat. And a lot of times I think we wait for the Lord to bring a helicopter down from the sky and that's all we're willing to see and accept. And we think, okay, but sometimes he sends us something that we weren't expecting. And sometimes we need to go to the guide or the person that the Lord sent us to, or a tool that he inspired somebody with. And it's like you can't just like, have like a heart condition and expect that you can go throughout life without having either the surgery that you need. Like, if you have a valve that's actually busted, you need to go to somebody who can repair that, right? Sometimes you need to use a tool that is set up for you to be able to deal with the damage that's gone on in your internal system. And we know tools that can help you to re regulate, to reprogram, and rewire the brain and your field to be able to get you back to a normal stasis where you're back to agency, where your body is actually not just the one doing the driving, but your spirit now is, okay? And we promise we've got tools, we've got resources, and we have a program to help you. We are here for you, and we really hope that you'd be willing to just book a call with us and try us out. Just a mini session, a marriage reset session is what we're offering for free. And go to our website if you'd like to and sign up, and we will send you our free facelift guide that's going to teach you how to face your deepest fears and those deep heavy conversations with one another.
Find us on Facebook too. That's where
Mm-hmm.
we're at.
This is our group, Marriage Recovery, Army or Castle Against Pornography Addiction and Disconnection.
And the group is growing and the questions are coming, and it's fabulous.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be supporting you everywhere we can.
So thanks for spending the time with us here right now. We hope to continue to see you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again.